abounds through Christ. Now, if we are afflicted, it is for your consolation and salvation, which is effective for enduring the same sufferings which we also suffer. Or if we are comforted, it is for your consolation and salvation. And our hope for you is steadfast, because we know that as you are partakers of the suffering, so also you will also be partakers of consolation. For we do not want you to be ignorant, brethren, of our trouble which came to us in Asia, that we were burdened beyond measure, above strength, so that we despaired even of life. Yes, we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in God who raises the dead, who delivered us from so great a death, and does deliver us, in whom we trust that he will still deliver us. You also helping together in prayer for us, that thanks may be given by many persons on our behalf for the gift granted to us through many. I want to talk for the time that is ours to share together from this thought: load management. Load management. A few years ago, I was watching a football game. It was a college football game. And I noticed quarterback from Alabama from a few years ago. His name is, I dare not try to pronounce his last name. His name was Tua. He suffered a year-ending hip injury. It would not have been so bad had it not been for the fact that he was already, or his coach was already under the microscope. He had already injured his ankle, and now he injures his hip. His season is over. And the barrage of questions came swiftly and steadily to Coach Nick Saban. It was an awkward position for him because if you know anything about college football, he is the darling of the college football world. The majority of the questions for Coach Saban were like, why was he an ankle? Was he even playing? Did he have to play that game anyway? Why was he out there to begin with? Because there was nothing to be gained. Some tried to put it on the 19 or 20-year-old student who was more than eager. The truth is that they have suggested that Saban did a poor job of managing the load. They suggested that Nick Saban did a poor job of managing the load, or of load management. Any good coach is keenly aware of what their player can handle. I hear you and I see by the way you are looking today, why are you talking about load management or a college football game? Can I tell you that the fact is that the position of the Christian, we are under a head coach who wears the headphones of our lives, and he directs all of our lives, and all of us have come under some kind of weight today. Matter of fact, I can tell by the way, as loud and as good as the choir was singing, you are under some kind of load. And I want to tell you that we serve a God who specializes in load management. Many of us are eager to make our own problems better. The problem is that most of us like to self-diagnose. We like to open up our Google and open our WebMD and look at the symptom checker and see what we could do better. But can I tell you, as the natural goes, so goes the spiritual. Many of us have self-diagnosed, and we've suggested that many lay theologians have told us that God wouldn't put more on you than you can bear. That's good mother wit, but it's not good Bible. Because the text shows me a person where the load was more than he could bear. He says, the reason why the load, I feel the Holy Ghost today. The reason that God gave me the load is so that I could know that it was nobody but the Lord who could lift the load. Is there anybody in the building who can testify? You don't have to lift up your hand, just open up your mouth and say, yes, Pastor, you're talking to me. I am under some heavy burden, and I need God to lift the load. There are a couple of things I want to mention while I'm talking about this text. First of all, it begins in Second Corinthians chapter 3, First and Second Corinthians chapter 1. He begins by telling us that there is a purpose for the Bible. I hope you haven't closed your Bible, because that's really all I know to preach from. Listen, he says, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who is the Father of mercy and the God of all comfort. Listen, he begins to tell us, Lyons Unity, that God is the source of our comfort. He says that God is the Father of comfort. He's the God of all comfort. He's the God of all mercies. He is the one who is the Father of mercies, and he's the God of all comfort. If you need comfort today, you need to look not around, but you need to look up for the God who is the God of all comfort. Because when you look around, you'll be dismayed. When you look down, you'll be disturbed. But when you look up, you will be delivered. He's the God of all comfort. He is the source of comfort. But then watch this. He's the salve of all comfort. The number one question that many of us wrestle with on a daily basis is, why does God allow trouble? Yeah. Why does God allow affliction? It's right in this passage. He says he comforts us in all our tribulations so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any trouble. He says the reason that God allows us to go through what we are going through. He says that word trouble in the Greek literally means affliction. It's suggesting that it's some external distress or some internal turmoil. God allows us to go through it because God has a purpose for your peril. Listen, here is why you're going through what you're going through, because you can be a conduit of God's comfort. Let me move along, because it's a little getting warm in here, and I know that the amens get shortened when it's a little warm. What we go through is not just for us. Let me tell you, what you're going through is not just for you. Can I give you a heuristic for your holiness? Can I tell you this? That God is the God of our comfort, the God of all comfort. Listen, persecution is normal, but our comfort comes from God. Thomas A. Kemper says it like this. He says that human comfort is short-lived. People will call you for a little while. People will send soup for a little while. They'll come and give you Kleenex for a little while. But there is somebody in the midnight hour who will rock you like nobody else. There is somebody who will keep you not. Can I tell you that our afflictions serve to deepen our faith? You wouldn't know that God could solve a problem if you never had a problem. You wouldn't know God as a bill payer if you never was behind. You wouldn't know him as a healer if you never been to the hospital. You never know that he can put you in if you never been out. You never know that he can pick you up if you never been down. So I hear the songwriter saying, through it all, I learned to trust in Jesus. I learned to trust in God. Through it all, I learned to listen, if you have not gone through what you're going through, you'll never be able to push your neighbor and say, baby, I've been there. I was sick, I had chemo, I lost my hair, but look at me now. It was nobody, if he can do it for me. Let me talk to this side, because I'm talking. Listen, he can do it for you. In 2019, in Spring, Texas, at an animal hospital, there was a man in one of our thunderstorms, 2019. He got struck by lightning. He got struck by lightning, and those who were in the animal hospital ran out, and they saw him lifeless. And so one of the vet techs began to do CPR on him. He didn't have a pulse, and eventually he was resuscitated. And as he is interviewed by M.B.C 13, they asked the man, he begins to cry and thank everyone who helped him with what he was going through. He said, I want to thank the vet tech. I want to thank those people who are in the ambulance. He said, I want to thank all of them. He said, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to enroll in a CPR class. He says, I'm grateful. He says, I want to learn CPR because if something happens to somebody else, to help them come in, because somebody will be trying to learn how to breathe and do some practice. Because you don't know, like I know how he brought me out, and just like he brought me. He can do it for you. But then Paul begins to get transparent about his troubles. It's in verse 8 and 9. He says, I began to get transparent about my trouble. He says, you're going through what you're going through for a reason. He says, he said, just in case some of y'all are looking at me with the eye of suspicion, he says, I ain't just talking about what I heard. And can I tell you, if you ever hire a preacher, or hire a preacher that been through something, a preacher that ain't been through nothing, you need to throw his resume in the trash. If you never had a stroke, if you never been broke, if you never been out, if you couldn't have children. Paul said, I ain't talking about what I'm just talking about. He said, I've been through what I'm talking about. I've been broke. I've been in the ditch. I didn't know how I was going to make it out. I ain't just talking about what I'm talking about. I've been through it. Lost my mama at 24. I ain't just talking. I ain't just up here. I've been through it. Paul says, I got you, Holy Ghost. He said, I don't want you to be ignorant. It's in verse 8. He says, about trouble that came to us in Asia. He said, I went through something. He said, I went through something. He says, in Asia, I was burdened beyond measure. He says, above strength, so that I despaired of life. He said, I was in a pickle. He said, I didn't even want to live. He said, I said, Lord, if you take me now, it'll be all right. Paul's affliction is anonymous. I don't know what it is, but he says that I'm not just talking, but then not only was it anonymous, the affliction was arduous. He says that it was beyond my scope of strength. I'm black, and so I'm naturally nosy. Don't look at me in that tone of voice. Don't act like you ain't never looked through the screen door to see what's going down on the street. Miss Mary and them got an ambulance down there. Let me I got the right church. He says, I want you to be ignorant. He says, I went through something in Asia. He says, it really ain't none of your business. Listen, I tried to figure out through 30 commentaries, was it that he was tormented by some stubborn ailment? Was he menaced by some dangerous persecution? Was he struck by accident? Did he have some psychological or mental distress? He doesn't tell us. He only says that I was burdened beyond measure. Burdened beyond strength. I wish I could come sit next to someone who's come to church today. You don't know how you're going to make it. You really don't know how you made it from home to here. It was a fight to get from the front door to the car. Now that you're here, they ask you, throw your hand, they ask you, would you say, ask pastor, ask you to touch your neighbor? And you say, I barely made it. Yeah. You don't have to know my business. Just know I barely made it here. I hit the alarm 7 times and then thought about it now. Just wait until family and friends on He said that he despaired even of life. But Paul says whatever it was, he said it was God that kept him standing. He said it was arduous, he said, but the affliction accomplished something. He said that we should not trust ourselves. That's verse number 9. He said the reason that I went through what I went through is so that I could get a master's degree and not trusting myself. So that I could trust God. When we go through the worst things, what we really learn is not to trust in ourselves. Because you know when your back is against the wall, your education can't get you out. Your money can't get you out. Your friendships can't get you out. Your connections downtown can't get you out. He says, so that we not trust ourselves, but in the God who raises the dead. I'm about to pull my hair out. This is the only reason I came to 32:15 to tell you that you ought not trust yourself, but the God who raises the dead. The emphasis is on the resurrection power, that the power doesn't come from me, but from the God who raises the dead. If you need a refrain to rehearse, like a recital, this is what you need to do when you encounter a problem. God, if he can raise some dead, then he can turn everything else around. He said, I'm not trusting myself, but I'm trusting a God who can raise today. Okay, I can tell. I got to use a virtual paintbrush and kidnap your mind for a second. This week, we went school shopping for my kids, for their school supplies. And we went to Office Depot. And my children, they were very annoyed at me. They were annoyed at me because every time they went to pick up something, they picked up the name brand pens. And I said, no. We can use these Office Depot. They wanted a name brand notebook. And I said, no. We're going to get her. Until finally we got to the number 2 pencils. Y'all know my wife is an educator, and I started getting the dollar pencils. She said, no. No, you won't. She said, don't get them cheap pencils for my baby. I said, why not? She said, well, the difference is good pencils got a good eraser. And I said, how do you know? She said, because I know. Because I tried it. And I know it worked. Is there anybody in here that can testify and say, I tried the resurrected Jesus? And I know that I'm trying. I tried alcohol. Didn't work. I tried relationships. It didn't work. I tried friendships. Didn't work. I tried money. But nobody but. Believe. I'm out. That's all, folks. Because I got hope. Because of my history. Paul says that I can trust the resurrected Jesus. Because I've got hope because of the history. It's in verse number 10, and I'm trying to hold myself. Us as y'all be on standby. But he said, who delivered us from so great a death, and does deliver us, in whom we trust and will still deliver us. I'm going to see if y'all can see with me. Who delivered us, that's past tense. So it suggests that he has delivered us. And he does deliver us. And he has delivered us. And he does deliver us. And he will deliver us. Is there anybody in here just to look at your neighbor and tell me? Is there anybody in here that can testify that I serve a God who has delivered me? A God who is delivering me. A God who will deliver me. Can you look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm going to trust in God because he's already delivered me. Y'all ain't looking at nobody. Can you say, neighbor, I can trust in the God who already delivered me because he's the God who is delivering me. And he's the God who will deliver me. Good evening, Lyons Unity. But I came to tell you that you need to lift up your hands, all your gates, and be lifted up. And the everlasting doors, and the King of glory. Come in. You ought to say who? You ought to say who? The same one from yesterday. The same one who's delivering now. And the same one who's delivering on tomorrow. And because he did it, I can open up my mouth and say glory. And say hallelujah. You look at somebody and say name. Y'all ain't looking at nobody. Say name. I don't need pastor to preach for me. I can look at my own life. I got a past and you delivered me in my yesterday. And if he delivered me right now, then he's able to deliver me in the future. I got a question. Do you know him? Have you tried? Ain't it all right? Do you know him? Have you tried? Ain't it all right? Do you know him? Have you tried? Ain't it all right? Say yeah. Say yeah. Say yeah. I'll come and put my arm around you and say, neighbor, be not dismayed. Whatever the time, God will. God will. God will. God will. God will. Yeah. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. But you ought to testify to yourself and say, I know he will. I know he will. I know he will. The door is open. But yes, he will. I'm trying to leave it alone. But yes, he will. I know the Lord will make a way. I know the Lord will make a way. Yes, he will. We'll make a way. Yes, he will. His track record is good with me. If he did it in 83, if he did it in 93, if he did it in 03, if he did it in 13, he can do it in 23. I have a Savior. I can tell on my burdens. The door is open. Will make a way. I'ma just hug you and say yes. It's dark right now, but yes, he will. I can't see my way right now, but yes, he will. The door is open. I'm trying to leave it alone, but I keep thinking, yes, he will. Listen, the door is open, and I want to commend you. Who is the one who came? I know the Lord will make a way. Yes, he will. Oh, I know the Lord. The door's open. Will make a way. Yes, he will.
for me and for you. My God will open every door, and I may be able to walk on through. I know the Lord will make a way. Yes, He will.
Listen, there may be someone here today who's heard the message, and you have not met the Jesus that has resurrection power. His son died just for you. Somebody said, well, what must I do? Confess with your mouth, believe in your heart that God has raised Jesus from the dead, and you shall be saved. Listen, am I waiting on you? Would you look at your neighbor and ask him, is Pastor waiting on you? Am I waiting on you? No, you may not have a friend. He'll go with you to the end. I know the Lord. He'll make a way. Yes, He will. Oh, yes, He will. Oh, I have a Savior that I can tell all my troubles to. Oh, when I'm and I don't know what to do. Talk to me, Jay. Yes, he will. When you go to work, y'all just say those 3 words. Yes, he will. Yes,